Indian Summer by Charles Hanson Towne, 1877 to 1949. When Eve grew old, how many a time she must have dreamed and dreamed of her lost Eden, with gardens all of gold, and springtide winds that whispered low and streamed quietly through the dim, hushed afternoon. And grey and sad wept for her vanished June, until some thought of her lost paradise lighted her old, old eyes. So now the year, banishing from her young joy and fragrant hours, grown feeble with much longing, sad and sere, dreams once again of gardens white with flowers. As she turns to brood upon the past, weary, autumnal now, and old at last, upon her face there shines the golden glow of June lost long ago. Okay, this is a poem by Charles Hanson Towne. He was an American. He came to New York from Kentucky when he was 3 years old. He was considered to be a quintessential New Yorker. He was definitely a socialite. He worked as a magazine publisher, and he worked in various different magazines, in Cosmopolitan magazine, Smart Set, Delineator, McClure's, Harper's Bazaar, and others. As I said, he was a socialite, and many people considered him the quintessential New Yorker. He did all sorts of things, but he wrote poetry, he wrote books. He taught a poetry course at Columbia University, and he even joined the touring company of a Broadway hit in the 1940s. So he was a very active individual. So, Indian Summer by Charles Hanson Towne. So, what's this about? Well, an Indian summer is after the summer is gone and you're in autumn, and maybe you have a few warm days together, and this is called an Indian summer. It's like a last gasp of summer, an extra bit of summer, a couple of warm days after summer has gone. And the poem, it's about old age, it's about getting old, it's about remembering the beauties and the wonderful things of being young. And it's the central character is Eve from Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and he's talking about Eve dreaming of the Garden of Eden when she's old, sitting there reminiscing, and she's sad because Eden has gone and she can't go back there. But this is a parallel to an old woman who is sad because she can't go back to her youth. And this is something we remember our youth, we remember the times and the things and the wonderful things that we did in our youth, but our youth is lost, our youth has gone, our youth is the Garden of Eden, that we have been banished from it, we can't go back to it. And then the Indian summer is, then she suddenly remembers some sweet detail from the Garden of Eden, some sweet detail from her youth, and it makes her feel good, it makes her smile, it makes her feel warm, it makes her feel good. And this is the idea. So when Eve grew old, How many a time must she have dreamed of her lost Eden, with gardens all of gold? So he's thinking about Eve, and Eve is now old, and he's saying that she must have dreamed about Eden and about lost Eden. But this, I think, is an allegory for her lost youth. For in old age we dream about our lost youth, we remember it. And springtide winds that whispered low and streamed through the dim hushed afternoon. And she's remembering the winds of spring, these gentle winds that streamed, that blew through the quiet afternoon, the dim, I think dim here, not intense, the hushed and quiet afternoon. And she's thinking about the beauty of how beautiful Eden was. And grey and sad wept for her vanished June. And now Eve is grey and she's sad and she's old, and she's crying for her youth, the Garden of Eden of her youth, of June, which is the metaphor, which has gone. June of the year, this is the early summer when everything is beautifully strong, the plants are growing and everything's beautiful. So she's crying because this has gone and it's never coming back. Until some thought of her lost paradise lighted her old eyes, and then suddenly she remembers something, just a small detail, and this lights up her eyes, and she no longer cries for it. She remembers how beautiful it was. So now the year, banished from her young joy and fragrant hours. So now the year goes on. Now she is in late autumn, early winter. Winter is here. She's in winter of her life. She's old. And she's banished from her young joy and fragrant hours. So she's banished, she's prohibited from the Garden of Eden, from the beautiful smells of the Garden of Eden in June. That she's no longer young. She's no longer this young girl in this beautiful world, grown feeble with much longing, sad and sere. So now she's feeble, she's weak from desiring to go back to the Garden of Eden, desiring her youth. She is sad and dry, sere, dry, barren, lifeless, because now life isn't exciting like that. Sere, without life, without energy, without water. And as she dreams once again of gardens white with flowers, and she's dreaming of these beautiful gardens with white flowers, these the beautiful Garden of Eden, the beautiful garden of her youth. And as she turns to brood upon the past, weary, autumnal now, and old at last, and she turns to brood, to think sadly, to think unhappily about the past, that the past has gone, that the past is no more. And now she's tired, she's in the autumn of her life is going, and now finally she is old. And then suddenly upon her face there shines the golden glow of June lost long ago. And suddenly there's a smile on her face, a shine in her face, when she remembers something from the Garden of Eden, from her youth, which was lost long ago. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Indian Summer by Hanson Towne.